Hey beautiful human, thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Rose and you're watching my fitness struggle. On this episode, I show you this epic meal prep. Stay tuned. Here are the timestamps in case you want to come back later. I usually like to start my meal prep the night before with some steel cut oats. The main ingredients you need is that 1 cup of steel cut oats to 4 cups of liquid. The cinnamon sticks and the star anise are really optional, so is the salt, but you definitely want to use steel cut oats. If you use quick cooking oats, it will just be a whole bowl of mush. So pour everything in the container. I like to do 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of water simply because later on if I want to make a smoothie, then I have the option to add more milk. You can also do this with just plain water. You want to cook it on low for 8 hours overnight. That way it's the first thing that's ready in your meal prep, or you can cook it on high for 4 hours and it'll be the last thing in your meal prep that's ready. When you go to remove the sticks in this little star, please make sure you remove every single one of them, because if you make the mistake of biting into just one, it will ruin the whole experience. So remove the sticks and the stars, give it a really good stir, and either transfer it into a storage container or leave it in an Instapot. I use these little lid covers I got from Amazon, and then I just pop in my fridge for whether it's an oat recipe or a smoothie recipe. Up next, we have a lemon pepper chicken. You really just need 2 large chicken breasts or however much you plan on using. Some garlic. I like to use it pre-squeezed because I'm lazy like that. The juice of 1 lemon, a little bit of salt to bring out all the flavor, and then either some lemon and garlic seasoning. It does not have to be this brand in particular. Onion salt works just fine, or if you don't have any, just plain salt works. That last thing was just some paprika if you like it spicy. First thing, of course, you want to juice your lemon. I got this little lemon squeezer thingy from TJ Maxx. If you're really good, you can just use your hands as well. I usually start with the liquid simply because I feel like it helps absorb every dry seasoning. Notice that I am seasoning both sides. I don't put measurements on seasoning because when you can see it, that's how you know it's seasoned. If you have a piece of chicken that's left unseasoned, go back and cover it. I like to put the little slits in my chicken simply because that's how my mom used to do it. So I figured her food used to taste good, so that should work. You want to marinate the chicken for at least an hour. I like to marinate mine overnight. Then you want to put it in your air fryer, preheated of course. Pop it in. You want to check it about halfway, which is like after 10 minutes. And once it's cooked through with a thermometer, you can go ahead and set it aside to be used in the other recipes. Next up, we're roasting some veggies. I like to use these 4 right here as my main combination. Bell peppers, onion, and sweet potato. Carrots work well, squash works well. Any firm, hearty veggie will work. But please, before you go ahead and use these veggies, give them a nice little bath. Like, give them the best bath of life. Here I am scrubbing the life out of this potato. I use a cleanser from Trader Joe, a fruit and veggie cleanser. But if you don't have that, just use a little bit of vinegar and that should work. At least that's what I've done in the past. I like to peel off the first 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 layers of my onion, and I also peel off the ugly parts of the potato because they're just ugly. But you want to leave as much of the skin on as possible because that's where the fiber is, and you need that fiber. Basically, dice up the potato into bite-sized pieces because this potato we can use later in salads. We can also use in omelets and just as a side. So you want them to be bite-sized pieces. Go ahead and spray it with some, I use coconut oil. You can also use olive oil, a little bit of seasoning, and then pop it in the air fryer to roast for about 15 minutes. Make sure you shake it every now and then just so it's not cooking only on one side. When it comes to the other veggies, I like to cook them all together because they take about the same amount of time. You also want to cut those to about bite-sized pieces. I like to do half roasted and then the other half raw just because that's how I like it. But once these are roasted, you can toss them in salads, you can toss them in omelets, and just as a side, make sure you drain as much of the liquid as possible because you want to roast them and not steam them. To prep the quinoa, I follow the directions on the back of the box, but I do change one thing. Instead of just plain water or chicken broth, I use this better than bouillon I guess you can call it a paste. I stopped buying chicken broth a long time ago when I realized I didn't know what to do with the leftovers. This is what quinoa looks like if you've never seen it. They look like, I don't know how to describe it, little seeds, I guess you can call them. And then when you cook them up, they get all fluffy. Pretty delicious. I will usually weigh my food raw and I weigh it cooked simply because I'm tracking macros. If you're not, you don't need to do all this work, and then I'll show you how I measure it. You want to rinse your quinoa and then create a little broth with the bedding in bouillon. Go ahead and put some garlic in there and any other seasoning you might like, and then add your quinoa, set it to boil for however long it takes. Not that long. As soon as it comes to a boil, you want to turn off the stove and put it to the side so it just sits and cook. This is what the quinoa looks like when it's cooked. This one is multicolored, so that's why it has different colors. This is how I weigh my stuff. First thing I do is I weigh the container that the food is going in. This bowl is 602 grams. So I usually mark it on the bottom of the bowl. That way for later, when I weigh it, I know exactly how much weight is coming from the bowl and how much weight is coming from the food. Once I put my food in there, I weigh it again just to know how much of the food is in the bowl. When I log the recipe in my FitnessPal, I usually put the number of servings as the number of grams. That way it gives me complete control over how I create my meals, which is super important for me because I just gotta grab and go. Next, I want to show you how I cook my eggs. I got this cute little contraption from Amazon, and it makes the perfect boiled eggs every single time. It does other things too, but I only use it to boil eggs. We love it here. Once it's done, it does a little sing-songy for you, and you just kind of transfer everything into an ice cold water. Please use a pair of tongs. Fingers are not tongues. Your fingers will burn. Mine didn't, but yours might. So I googled the internet and Pinterest and found a loose recipe for granola, and then once I realized how simple it was to make my own, it was easy peasy from there. I just need to know what temperature to cook it in. So I threw some nuts together. I have almonds, walnuts, as well as pumpkin seeds. I'm also using some oatmeal in there, some maple syrup. You can also use honey. I have cinnamon. Anytime cinnamon is called for in a recipe, best believe I'm going to use tons of it. Some regular salt just to get some iodine and the flavor in there, and coconut oil spray. Please be careful when you're using those cooking sprays. They do have fat. One spray may not have a lot of calories, but once you start spraying for a few seconds, it's time to start measuring it. So I start out by just kind of rolling or beating or grinding. I don't know how you want to say it, but getting the nuts to a consistency that I like. And that's just to have some crunch. I didn't want to make them mush. I needed crunch in there. So of course I measure out everything just so I know how many calories I'm taking in. I have it on a parchment paper on a little pan that comes from my air fryer. Got that gift set from my girl Belaine. I'm pretty sure she got it from Amazon. Use all the cinnamon you want. I love cinnamon, so as much as it can take until I can smell it, I'm going to keep adding. So stir, 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 and then when it goes time to add the syrup and the coconut oil, again, those are high calorie items. So be careful in using them. Just a little drizzle. I personally don't even think that the maple syrup was even needed. I feel like the cinnamon added the sweetness it needed, but hey, it was my first time making it. Maybe next time I'll make it without a sweetener. Give it a stir until all the ingredients are mixed in together. As far as the coconut oil, you can use the ones from the jar, but I wanted to use the spray simply because it will allow me to really distribute the flavor. So here I am measuring the coconut oil because again, I need to know how many calories of oil I'm getting because every 1 gram is 9 calories, and when I'm using this much quantity, it's important to get it in. So spray, mix, mix, spray, mix, mix. Meanwhile, get your oven or your air fryer going at about 300 degrees. I must say, if you're using the air fryer, you want to make sure you put like the pan or the rack that comes with it, because otherwise it might fly. Every 5 to 10 minutes, really every 3 to 5 minutes, give it a stir to make sure that the items are not burning. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did start with raw nuts. Once it's done cooking, and you'll know because you'll smell it and hear the crunch, set it aside to cool and then mix in any toppings you want. I like to add coconut to it, so that's what I did. And then I just store it in this mini mason jar. It should last a good week. I've had mine for a week now and it still tastes pretty good. And you're never gonna catch me buying granola again. That's facts. And last but not least, we come to the fruit and veggie prep. That's basically anything that can be eaten raw. For the veggies, I usually just toss them on top of my salads for those extra micronutrients. I don't count those as calories because, like I mentioned, they're micronutrients and the calories are barely non-existent. I use a saran wrap to pick up the onion just to make sure it doesn't go in my hand. And these are just some baby carrots that I dice up and just throw it in salads. When it comes to the salad, I buy those box salads from the store, but I give it a nice little rinse. Not so much as a wash, but just a rinse to loosen up anything that might be stuck in there. I use my salad spinner. I spin it real good, rinse it real good, and then I actually store it in this container I picked up from TJ Maxx. They come in large, medium, and small, and you'll see it in a second. I put a paper towel on top to keep it from, I guess, spoiling. And then I go in to rinse my fruits, strawberries, and I think I had raspberries as well as blackberries. The first thing I always do is rinse the fruit first and then wash it in the little fruit and veggie solution. And then I transfer it into a different container. These will last about a week in the fridge. That's typically how long my berries last anyway. And so make sure that you wash them properly. You can even blot them dry just to keep the extra moisture off. I love having my fruits and veggies pre-cleaned in the fridge because I'm the type of person where if I go in the fridge and they're not clean, I'm going to have something else, which is most likely a candy bar. And 9 times out of 10, when I want something sweet, I'm likely to reach for something unhealthy. But if I open the fridge and these fruits are already there and they're clean, I already paid for them, and I don't want them to go to waste, it's a lot easier to just grab it and eat it as a snack, or just grab it and put it in my parfait and skip the candy bar. Hey beautiful human, you have made it towards the end of this meal prep. If you made it this far, drop a lettuce emoji or comment the word lettuce in the comments and let me know you made it here. Here I have my oatmeal ready to go. I use this in smoothies or just plain oatmeal. Any excess I actually freeze and use it when I make a protein smoothie. That's a pro tip for you. And then on the left of that, I have my quinoa salad bowl ready to go. It's basically a grain bowl with a whole lot of micronutrients. If you watch one of my Why I Eat in a Day videos, especially day one of the 75 hard challenge, you'll see how I put that bowl together. I keep the sweet potato and peppers together because really I just need 1 tablespoon of it. Off camera, I also prepped some pineapple, cucumber, and carrots. And by prep, I literally mean I just took them out the package, gave the cucumber a wash, gave the carrots a rinse, and transferred into Ziploc bags. I also transferred some pomegranate to a different container, and everything is there ready to go. As far as the eggs, I do store them with their shell in a Ziploc bag. Look at the spread and tell me if I have any reason to go waste my money at a restaurant or on Uber Eats. One more thing before you go, here are some meal combinations that you may not have thought of. For explicit details on these meals, check out my What I Ate in a Day videos. Head over to my food Instagram at Good Eats, or just leave a comment below. Let me know what are some of the recipes I showed here that you might try, or what are some of your favorite recipes that you would like for me to try. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my fitness struggle. I'll see you over on my Instagram. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until I see you again, make healthy choices.